Hello and welcome to the channel. Zach D Productions here, and I'm here for a versus video for you guys. Now, the two albums that we'll be talking about in this versus video are British Steel by Judas Priest versus the debut album from Iron Maiden. Now, maybe you're wondering why talk about these two albums in this versus video. Well, of course, they both came out in the same year, 1980. And also, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest do get comparisons a lot. And I know there's debates on there, about which is really the better band. If you want my opinion on that personally, I've always been more of an Iron Maiden guy personally, but Judas Priest is definitely a solid band for sure. And obviously, both bands are legends in heavy metal, and they both mean a lot to the genres. And if you call yourself a metalhead and you claim to be a metalhead and you're not familiar with any of these bands, well, definitely make yourself familiar with them for sure, because both bands I would consider essential for metalheads. So let's first go ahead and talk about British Steel by Judas Priest. Now, right off the bat, great album for sure, definitely a classic. I mean, that's a no-brainer. This album is a really great album. And I would say if you're trying to get into Judas Priest, this would definitely be a very good gateway album. And not just a good gateway album to get into Judas Priest, but maybe a good gateway album to get into metal in general. Because this album is very accessible, and there's a lot of kind of commercial, mainstream sounding stuff from this album. And I could be wrong, but I believe that this album and Painkiller are their two most successful albums. I know that this is the one where they really gained the most commercial success. But yeah, this album, it's definitely great. I mean, some highlights from the album would have to be Metal Gods, Breaking the Law, United, and Living After Midnight. All really great tracks, of course. I mean, with songs like Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight especially, these tracks are very accessible, and if you're trying to get into Judas Priest, these would be very good gateway songs if you're trying to get into the band. But yeah, this album definitely has a fun sound to it. It's just a fun album to listen to in general. But yeah, definitely a great album and a classic, of course. But as for Iron Maiden's debut, this album is, of course, another classic in heavy metal, of course. And this is, of course, when Paul Di'Anno was with Iron Maiden, when he was their vocalist. Now, when it comes to the two Iron Maiden albums with Paul Di'Anno, I do think that this is the better of the two, which I know is an unpopular opinion, because I do know that a lot of Iron Maiden fans would go with Killers as the better of the two Iron Maiden albums with Paul, but for me, I would go with this one. This one, to me, just has stronger replay value. But of course, some highlights from this album would have to be Prowler, Remember Tomorrow, Running Free, Phantom of the Opera, and the title track, Iron Maiden, definitely another really great track. This album does also kind of have a fun sound to it, I would say, and yeah, there's a lot to like about this album. I mean, this album, it's got some variety to it, I'd say. You got your more energetic moments, your more laid back, chill kind of moments, but yeah, definitely a very strong album, I'd say. So, of the two albums, British Steel and Iron Maiden debut, which of the two albums would I prefer? Which one do I think is the better album? Well, if you want my take, I would personally go with British Steel by Judas Priest as the better album. This album here is the winner of the video, and the reason being is because, well, I mean, this album, I would say it's probably one of the best from Judas Priest, and I don't know if I would say that about Iron Maiden's debut album. And of course, this album just means a lot more to heavy metal, I would say, and I don't know. I just think that the songwriting in general is a lot better here with this album. Now, like I said, I am more of an Iron Maiden guy than a Judas Priest guy, but for this video, I gotta give props to Judas Priest for this video, so British Steel is the winner of this video. So let me know what you guys think. Which album do you like more? The Iron Maiden debut album or Judas Priest British Steel? So feel free to let me know what you guys think. So with that being said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day and take care.